Classified document. Division 13. Clearance level, Obsidian. Black file. Innucation log. Date, May 5th, 2001. Subject, former agent Koji Watanabe. Classification, Entity X. Reporting agent, Sarah Ito. Unofficial capacity. Summary, unauthorized communication established with Entity X through modified radio equipment. Subject retains fragmented human consciousness, but exhibits anomalous knowledge of phenomenon's global network. Key intelligence gathered. Network consists of 247 active nodes across 6 countries. Collection process feeds central entity identified as Evolved Heya no Nushi. Final convergence event approaching, estimated 6 months. Critical weakness identified. Network requires willing host to complete integration. Entity X believes termination possible from within the system. Warning. Intelligence source credibility uncertain. Entity X may be compromised or acting as psychological weapon. Recommendation. Recall Team 7 for final operation. They know this entity better than anyone still alive.
In the basement of a forgotten collection, I found it. A book, unlike any other. Welcome, dear souls, to Tales of the Tattered Book. Let the story begins.
Chapter 3. Convergence. January 15th, 2003. Division 13. Safe House, Tokyo. Hiroshi Tanaka stared at the bottom of his sake cup, counting the last drops that clung to the sides. 4 years since Watanabe had vanished into that wall, and he still couldn't sleep without hearing his partner's voice calling from somewhere beyond reach. The Division 13 psychologist had recommended therapy, medication, even early retirement. What she hadn't recommended was the bottle, but the bottle was the only thing that made the guilt quiet down long enough for him to function. The safe house was one of dozens scattered across Tokyo, and anonymous apartments maintained by Division 13 for operations that required discretion. This one smelled stale cigarettes, furnished with the kind of generic furniture that suggested no one had ever really lived here. Perfect for a man who had been slowly disappearing from his own life. The knock on the door came at exactly 3:47 a.m. Tanaka knew because he'd been watching the digital clock, waiting for sleep that wouldn't come. 3 knocks, pause, 2 knocks. He dragged himself to the door and opened it. Sarah Ito stood in the hallway, soaked from the January rain. 4 years had aged her more than they should have. Lines around her eyes, gray threading through her black hair despite being barely 30. She carried a metal briefcase and the same haunted look he saw in his own mirror every morning.
Hello, Hiroshi.
She said in English, then switched to Japanese.
We need to talk.
He stepped aside to let her in, noting how she automatically scanned the room for surveillance equipment. Old habits from their Division 13 days. She'd always been thorough. Maybe if he'd been as careful, Koji would still be alive.
Division 13 recalled us,
Sarah said without preamble, setting the briefcase on the small Kiddo table.
Effective immediately. The Hikikomori protocol is active again.
Tanaka felt something twist in his stomach. But they disbanded our team. Permanently. After... He couldn't finish the sentence.
After we lost Koji. Sorry. Detective Watanabe.
She opened the briefcase. It was full of folders, each one labeled with a city name, each one thick with documents. Tokyo, Osaka, Seoul, Hong Kong. She pulled them out one by one, stacking them on the table. The pile kept growing. Berlin, London, Sao Paulo, Chicago, Melbourne.
Every folder is a city.
Sarah said.
Every document inside is someone who stopped existing. 732 confirmed erasures worldwide. Maybe twice that number unconfirmed. It's not just us anymore.
Sarah said.
It's everywhere.
Tanaka stared at the pile and said nothing.
But that's not why they called us back.
She reached into the briefcase again and pulled out a separate folder. Thinner than the others. No city name on the label, just a number. She handed it to him. Inside were transcripts, radio intercepts, fragments of conversations that made no sense until he recognized the voice patterns. Koji, he whispered.
I've been in contact with him for 4 years. Off the books. Division 13 didn't know until last week.
The room seemed to tilt. Tanaka sat down on the sofa and poured himself another shochu, his third or fourth of the night.
He's not dead, Hiroshi. He's something else now. Integrated into the network. But he's still Koji. Still our partner. And he's been gathering intelligence from inside.
Rage hit Tanaka like a physical blow. 4 years of guilt, of thinking he'd failed his partner, of drinking himself to sleep every night. You've been talking to him? For 4 fucking years, and you never told me?
I tried to reach out to you.
Tried? Hiroshi was on his feet now, the room spinning slightly from the sudden movement and the alcohol. You let me think he was dead. You let me think I killed him.
You would have tried to find him. You would have gotten yourself killed, or worse, just like the other teams.
That wasn't your choice to make. Sarah met his glare steadily.
No, but it was the choice I made. And because of it, we now know how to stop this thing.
She pulled out a modified radio device, its surface covered in additional circuits and components that looked jury-rigged but functional.
The entity, it calls itself the Collective now, is preparing for something called the Convergence. All the isolated rooms, all the trapped individuals, they're going to be merged into a single massive network. A digital physical space where isolation becomes absolute.
Tanaka slumped back into his chair, the fight going out of him as quickly as it had come. When?
48 hours, maybe less.
Sarah activated the radio device. Static filled the room, then slowly resolved into something that might have been a voice.
Hiroshi, is that really you?
The shochu glass slipped from Hiroshi's numb fingers, shattering on the floor. The voice was distorted, layered with electronic interference, but unmistakably Koji Watanabe. Masaka, Hiroshi breathed. Koji? Are you... What did they do to you?
I'm here, partner. Different, but here. I've learned so much.
The voice faded in and out like a weak radio signal.
The Collective isn't just feeding on isolation. It's preserving it. Every person it takes, every room it claims. They're all still here, Tanaka. Still aware. Still alone.
How do we stop it? Sarah leaned close to the radio.
From the inside. The network has a central node, a core where all the isolated spaces connect. If someone could reach it, disrupt it from within.
Static overwhelmed the transmission for a moment.
Becoming part of it.
No, Tanaka said immediately. We're not losing anyone else.
The alternative is worse.
Koji's voice was growing fainter.
The convergence will spread beyond Japan, beyond individuals. Millions of people, alone.
Static, then silence. Hiroshi stared at the radio, then at Sarah. She was already packing equipment into a tactical bag. That's it?
He'll be back.
She didn't look up.
He always comes back.
Where are you going?
Division 13 has located the primary manifestation site, an apartment complex in Roppongi where the first erasure occurred back in 1992. The building exists in normal space, but our scans show massive dimensional distortions centered on the 7th floor.
What's on the 7th floor? Hiroshi asked, though part of him already knew.
According to the original architectural plans, nothing. The building only has 6 floors. Sarah shouldered the bag. But according to our instruments, there's a 7th floor that exists in folded space. That's where the core is.
Hiroshi looked at the radio, at the surveillance photos, at Sarah's determined face. 4 years of guilt and alcohol couldn't be erased by one conversation. But maybe, just maybe, they could be redeemed. What do we need to do? Sarah handed him a second radio device and a small black box covered in warning labels.
We go in together, find the core, and hope that Koji's plan actually works.
The static from the radio resolved briefly into Koji's voice.
I'll be waiting for you. Both of you.
Remember, once you enter the network, the isolation becomes real. Every doubt, every fear, every moment you've ever felt alone, it all becomes tangible. It feeds on that.
As they prepared to leave the safe house, Hiroshi caught Sarah's reflection in the window. For just a moment, in the glass, she looked translucent, as if she were already beginning to fade. But when he blinked, she was solid again. Real again.
January 15th, 2003. Roppongi District, Tokyo. 3:47 a.m. Hiroshi stood beside me, checking his equipment for the 3rd time. He hadn't said much since hearing Koji's voice. I understood. 4 years of thinking your partner was dead, and then 4 years. I'd spent them talking to Koji through static, telling myself I was gathering intelligence. But the truth was simpler. He was the only one who understood. The only one I could talk to about what we'd seen. The only one who made me feel less alone. Maybe that's why it was already inside me.
Classified document, Division 13. Clearance level, Obsidian Black File. Hikikomori Protocol Final Report. Date, redacted. Operation, outcome, redacted. See attached assessment. Agent casualties, redacted. Civilian impact, minimal. Cover story accepted. Team 7 final operation commenced 03:47 hours, January 15th, 2003. Last confirmed transmission received at 09:23 hours. Transcription. We found it. Koji was right about everything. However, redacted. I think this is a redacted. If you don't hear from us in 12 hours, evacuate the transcriptions end. No further contact for redacted hours. Site status. The Roppongi building remains standing. Apartment 7B no longer accessible throughout. Redacted. Residents within redacted radius relocated under Protocol 17C. 3 individuals detained for observation following redacted. Phenomenon status. No new erasures reported globally since redacted. Monitoring continues. Personnel status. Agent Hiroshi Tanaka, located. Currently held at redacted. See Addendum 7B. Agent Sarah Ito, redacted. Entity X, former agent Koji Watanabe. Last signal detected 11:17 hours. Current status, redacted. Audio recordings from final operation contain 47 minutes of redacted, followed by redacted. Voice print analysis matched to redacted. Content classified. Memetic hazard. Do not transcribe. The Hikikomori protocol is hereby redacted indefinitely. All related materials transferred to Vault 13. Division 13 remains operational. Addendum 7B. Agent Tanaka currently receiving treatment at redacted psychiatric facility. Claims to remember redacted, but medical evaluation shows signs of redacted. Testimony deemed unreliable due to redacted. Subject has been assigned provisional designation redacted. Observation ongoing. End of file.
And so, dear listeners, we close this classified file, though Division 13's archives contain countless more. This tale of isolation and digital ghosts leave us with more questions than answers. Remember, in our connected age, the greatest horror may not be the monsters that hunt us, but the loneliness that lives within us all. For in the vast network of human experience, we are all just nodes waiting to be disconnected. If you dare to delve deeper into these eldritch mysteries, subscribe to our podcast, leave a rating and review, and whisper of our tales to others. Your engagement feeds the book, fueling the terrors yet to come. Until next time, and may your nights be sleepless and your dreams unsettling.